Let's be real about this. When I worked at the News Journal, I remember the discussions about the Echo, and it was kind of like a joke in the newsroom about how they were going for this, and they were, talking to these individual management of the paper, former ownership of the paper, talking to individual council members about contributing for the Lively Arts Center, which was going to be Tippin Davidson's ode to his daughter. She was very much into the music,
Right,
cultural
yes,
stuff, which is great.
I remember.
But the whole idea behind Echo was to get this News Journal Center built.
Yeah.
And then, the county, it was a $27 million project, 27 to 29 million, give or take a couple million. The News Journal Center got naming rights for 13 million through taking it from their minority partner, Cox Enterprises. And the paper got sued, and of course we know what happened from there. 400 people lost their jobs, and we're all scrambling to recreate ourselves, which is how I ended up with the internet newspaper eventually. But the whole thing about government and the newspaper and the history and how this Echo thing got created, I just thought the viewers here should understand that this was not something that was the will of the people. This was something where it was ownership of a media outlet flexing its muscles and getting these politicians to do this. Yeah. And of course the News Journal Center turned into a disaster, and it's now by the county, it's now with the college. Yeah. And that turned into a disaster, the American Music Festival, which we've discussed. Oh yeah, the big mess. And
big messes.
Yeah, and so, here we are today, and you've got that. The other thing that I thought was rather interesting was the whole thing about taking cars off the beach. There's all this discussion about Krabby Joe's, and great restaurant, nice to get the pier redone, but we had a very strong, potent Daytona Beach. You had Black College Reunion, you had Spring Break. I'm not talking about the MTV Spring Break of the '80s, but it was a better managed event. Yeah. But since those cars were taken away,
things are gone.
It's dead. I mean, downtown Daytona Beach, it's like even like the ice rink. It's great that you can go skate on the band shell on the rink, but if you have to park in a parking garage
to do it,
walk all the way down, it just seems like it's, when you could just pull up your car, which is what people used to do. Do you think that maybe government overextends itself
most definitely.
in that regard, though, with these special initiatives and these costs? These things that just bring up, they say, what's the savings? It's kind of like in New Smyrna. They purchased a Christmas tree. Yeah. 4 years ago, of $27,000. I remember the former mayor, Sally Mackay, saying, well, this will last us for 10 years. The warranty on it is 10 years. They didn't mention the fact that it's $5,000 to $7,000 a year to put it up, wire it, take it down, take all the wiring apart, and then have to do it all over again. Yeah. So in 4 years' time, we're not looking at $27,000. Now we're looking at $60,000.
60 grand.
What about that whole thing about government overpricing itself?
Oh, it does.
And we have to have this. If someone says to you, we have to have this, what are you going to say?
Why?
Okay. So actually there's the three things and a fourth.
There's...
The why is the overriding one.
Well, we need this. Why? I need water. Why? Well, I'm thirsty and I need some water to hydrate. Good answer. We need to buy $20 million worth of land. Why?
Because they got it, we need it.
That's not a good why. Okay. That's not the appropriate answer. Now, we need to buy this 40 acres over here. Why? Well, we're going to extend Highway 442 so we have adequate hurricane evacuation routes from the Edgewater all the way out there to 415 so people can get off the coast quicker instead of bottlenecking 90. Good reason. We need 40 acres just because? Doesn't exist.
Let's talk about, we've talked about your initiatives and their cutting taxes, cutting spending.
Oh yes.
And maybe creating some new directions in terms of how things are operated. For example, you're very strongly in favor of, or at least you're looking at it, of having possibly the Volusia County Sheriff's Office oversee the beach patrol. And I think people have a misconception that they're going to be walking around with AK-47s and Glocks and scaring the hell out of people.
Actually, there'll be less of a police presence on the beach than what we have right now. They're going to be more behind the scenes. Crime does not run rampant on the beach. We don't have mass murders. Thank goodness. We don't have all these.
It's been
crazy
what?
things.
20 years since you've been able to have a bonfire on the beach?
Yes.
You can't drive on the beach at night.
You can't drive on the beach. Crime is at a very minimal. The only reason why someone may say that's a high crime area. That's not because of the beach. It's because of the shops, and shoplifting is a crime, and people get shoplifted.
And it's right in that same territory.
And it's right in that same area. So look at the real numbers, number one. Number two, we don't need to have the disasters that have been going on for the past years with the beach patrol. What I've proposed, or what I'm going to look into, and this is all about the numbers too. If it's cost effective to get rid of them, I'm going to start working on that and seeing how we can do this. If it's cost effective to keep them, then we're going to keep them. It's all, at this point right now, it's all about the money. It's about the numbers, and we're getting the.
Well, Ben Johnson has said to us, and I know he said to you,
I want to
that
see
he
the numbers.
believes it's reasonable. Now,
what does
the county manager said to you?
He says no, that would cost way too much money.
So I guess you have to kind of look into this.
Now I have this side and this side. Let me see.
If you see that it is more cost effective, if it's less cost effective,
then no, we wouldn't be met.
You leave it.
Leave it alone. If it's not broke, it may be broke.
Well, let's clarify for the viewers out there what maybe broke means. You have a man, Bobby Tamaris. He's in prison.
He's in prison.
He had sex with an underage girl, a lifeguard. There's always been this culture of macho, of beach patrol, these cops with the guns scoring with the chicks, for lack of a better
term.
And the bravado, and it's kind of like in the media. It's always been kind of like, yeah, well, I heard this rumor, it's kind of like a joke, but. This wasn't a joke. You had several incidences.
And no one's above the law, and I'm glad that went through the system, and the person that was found guilty of the crime was charged with the crime.
And then you had another beach patrol, a captain, Rich Gardner. He was fired. There was some issue about having an affair with a colleague in the office, or that he was reporting to him.
That's inappropriate behavior. And
then you had the.
If he now, and I'll say this, if he. I don't know if the guy was married or not. And if he was having...
she was married, apparently.
Okay.
Somebody was married to somebody.
Okay, that's a moral issue, that's not a government issue. But if somebody...
But if it's happening in the government and they're getting paid...
Yeah. Now, that's a no-no. Let's say you're a beach patrol officer and the sheriff's department deputy and you get together and you want to date, I have no problem. I don't have a problem. In the same office, I might have a little bit of an issue because we're talking... professionalism. I go to my office, I'm professional. You go to your office, you darn well.
It's kind of funny because you'd be surprised. For example, I discovered recently that Daytona Beach's police chief, Michael Chitwood, the microphone Mike, who can't get enough of the media exposure except when it's shown that he's done something, or then all of a sudden he's not to be found. But he's dating the lady who's the spokeswoman for the city of Daytona Beach.
See, as long as
it's okay. It's not. There's no.
As long as
but there's a lot of these interrelationships.
And everybody wants something.
They're no different than us.
Yeah, there's no difference. I'm sorry. I'm in a committed relationship, so I'm not looking for a committed relationship anywhere. Sorry. As long as you can keep your line of professionalism there. Now, I would never ever approve of two people working in a secretarial pool somewhere in the county, sitting desk to desk, being,
Well, how would appropriate would be if, let's say, you were dating one of the county council secretaries?
That would be inappropriate.
That would be inappropriate.
Very inappropriate. It would be actually very inappropriate if, for some reason, I ever dated any individual in the county. I think that would be inappropriate.
Well,
I have to hold myself to a little bit higher level of discipline due to the fact that being the county chair. Other individuals may look at that incorrectly.
It's amazing to me how when you have a dominant media outlet and you have a very outspoken and strong-willed county manager, and Mr. Deneen, who I think is a very good, he does a lot of good things.
Does a lot of good things.
And his experience counts. But when you come up with a story and a news journal prints it like, okay, we're going to eliminate 16-year-olds from doing beach patrol, for doing lifeguarding, when a lot of the beach patrol, they've been very short-handed in the last year or so, very short-handed, where he was saying people have become fatter. This is a true story that that was written in the paper, that because they're big boned. That was the quote, big boned. It would be harder for a 16-year-old lifeguard, and he didn't specify male or female, to be able to bring that person out of the water. Now, my experience...
Apparently he has no experience as a lifeguard of any type.
Well, my experience has been in covering the breaking news is that a lot of these rescues were done by teenage boys and girls, 16 and 17, who actually are in a lot better shape than people our age. And it's funny, the 50-year-olds were the ones having sex with the 16 and 17-year-olds. So that's what I'm talking about, that transparency and the hypocrisy of government saying, we're doing this because of this. You're not eliminating the 16-year-old because they can't bring the fat people off the shore. You're eliminating because your 50-year-old guy, Beach Patrol, is having sex with them, right?
Right. Well, no, what I'm talking about is eliminating them because of cost. Right now at this point it's a money thing. We're at a fiscal cliff, and I am looking at money. And money is what our problem is. We got their salaries, we've got the high-level salaries on the big high levels. We've got the cost of those vehicles, and the maintenance, and the equipment that goes on them. We've got the weapons. And now you actually have, and here's the biggest thing, it's an attitude. When you're a cop, and you're carrying a 9mm or a 357 or a 38 or whatever on your hip, you're a cop. And that's what you do. You're a cop. You're looking for somebody to break the crime. You're not being a lifeguard and scanning what lifeguards do very well. They scan the horizon and the swim areas looking for someone in trouble.
And that's really the function of the Beach Patrol.
That is the function. The function of the Beach Patrol is supposed to be, apparently, to be scanning and looking and driving up the beach and looking
help the lifeguards.
And help the lifeguards. They've gotten too much into the law enforcement role. If you want to be a cop, please get off my beach and go be a cop somewhere else. That's my personal opinion. It has nothing to do with what we're looking at. What I'm looking at right now as far as the county goes, it's all about the money. We need to save $800,000 somewhere. That might be a good place to start. We can transfer these people from there and put them into law enforcement. I'm not saying...
So you wouldn't lose the training, so to speak?
No, I wouldn't. Oh, no. No,
but that doesn't mean you have to take everybody.
I know. If you're a good cop and you're doing your job and, Ben Johnson wants that, that's up to Ben Johnson.
It seems to me, though, when they do these kinds of things in the past, again, from having covered this over the years, instead of taking the people that are at the rank and the union level that have the experience of actually doing rescues, those will be gone, and they'll bring in the administrators who already make too much, and then they realize, wait a minute, this isn't a perfect fit.
We're a little bit too tough.
So now we have to hire. Now we have to hire more people under the new agency to do the bottom level stuff.
As far as who Ben Johnson hires is up to him. He has prerequisites. He has an inline system of doing things, and it apparently works pretty good.
I tell you, I
have no complaints with Ben Johnson. But if you want to be a cop, go be a cop. If you want to be a lifeguard, be a lifeguard.
I have to give a shout out to Ben Johnson. I think he's the epitome of class in terms of the top level of law enforcement, where people are treated with respect, whereas the Daytona police chief, you're a scumbag. So I think, well, it's important to me to ask you this because the whole thing of government and its role, you're the county chair, I should bow down to you.
No.
We had a situation here in New Smyrna Beach with the parade, Christmas parade. You have the mayor. He, instead of parking his vehicle at City Hall with the rest of the city commissioners and then riding up on the fire truck.
And the county commissioner.
And the county commissioner. That's right, you were in there too. Instead, he decides he wants to park on the beach side because it's close to his home to get out of there. He wants to park on a side street that's barricaded. Police officer says, I'm sorry, sir, you can't park here. So he leaves, okay, comes back, shakes his hand, and says, I just want to thank you for being a PR-K. I think people know what I mean. How? Is that right?
No.
Can government can a mayor or a city manager or a county manager or a county council member or a county chair talk to a police officer like that and expect not to have a reverb, people calling it out?
No.
Would you do that to somebody?
No, never. As a matter of fact, when we had the issue at Edgewater with the tornado, I was there. 15 minutes after it was there, I was there to render aid.
The mobile home park, that's pretty sad.
And I was there to render aid and assistance to anybody that needed it. I wasn't in a suit and a tie. I was in a t-shirt, blue jeans, my boots, and I was hard hat, ready to go to work. And I had my ID badge with me, so you know, if anybody came up and said, "Who are you?" I could say, "This is who I am." Oh, okay. Complimented sheriff deputies left and right, left and right, left and right. You were doing a great job. Hooah, major kudos. Well, thank you, sir. Says no problem. I mean, I have the utmost of respect. Anybody's going to put their life in the line every day to save and protect us. They deserve your utmost respect. And
well, you know,
that's
it's
my
funny.
personal belief.
It's funny too that, you know, law enforcement, whether you're a police officer or a firefighter, there's this thing now where unfunded pensions, suddenly it's taboo to get a raise. And I know in New Smyrna Beach they haven't had a raise in the police in 3 years, and it may very well be going to impasse unless they can resolve this in an upcoming meeting.
Let me just...
Police officers and a firefighter, if you're having a heart attack, they're there for you.
Yeah.
Then it's okay, it doesn't matter how much it costs. Yeah. But people tend to forget that, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
So go ahead, you're going to say something.
Yeah, no, you know, as far as the pensions and the funding of pensions and stuff, you know, that's an issue that was dealt with.
Do you foresee, for example, maybe a countywide fire force, firefighter force? No?
I've looked into that, and having done a little research on it, that would be like one of the most ridiculous things that we've ever done. It would be, it would end up becoming a its own, shall we say, fighting its own taxing authority.
Because you'd have different levels where you have different parts of the county and it costs more because of population, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it would be absolutely incorrigible for us to do that. It would have to end up being its own taxing authority, and then it would run rampant all over the budget.
And it would be less accountability.
And less accountability, and then would end up running rampant all over
Let's
the
be real about something else too, and then we'll move on to the last segment. And that is, when county says, "Oh, we're going to cut the budget. We've cut this. We've done this," they're not really cutting anything. They're cutting above what they already had. How can you change that?
Well, it's simple. I've already made a statement. Zero-based budgeting is where I'm going. We have.
So you look at what this thing is, not what you funded before.
I don't care what it was. I don't care what it was. This is where we're at. We're at zero.
And what are those three things again?
Do we need it? How much is it going to cost? Do I have to tax for it? And what's the long-term obligations? But as far as the budget goes, everybody starts with zero, and we will be doing budget workshops. And we go through, what is the employment? How much does it cost for our employees? And all the taxes. All these numbers need to be written down, added up, boom, bottom line. I'd even be nice and I'd give you a 15% bump just for incidentals in case. We don't know what's going to happen the next year. There's your budget.
So,
and believe me, when you do it in business, you survive. If you try to do this baseline budgeting like the military and a big government does, look at
what about this mentality of, I know Mr. Deneen may be around for a while, may not. It's his call. If the mentality has been, well, we have to pay them like a CEO of a private company, do you?
I would be that person that you would have to pay like the CEO of a private company.
And you're not making, what was your...
$49 a year.
$49 a year. How much does a county manager make?
Over $2.
Over $200,000. The superintendent of schools makes a lot of money.
I think right up there around $200.
President of Daytona State College makes a lot of money.
Makes a ton of money. More than that.
Yeah, more than that. That's the mentality of, for example, in New Smyrna Beach. They're going to spend $30,000 to look at the viability of hiring a new police chief.
That's ridiculous. Now, hold on. I'm tired. This is going to be a big way to save money. I'm tired of doing studies. We shouldn't need to do a study.
I'm glad you brought that up, because let's talk about another issue, and then we'll get to your ode to General Schwarzkopf in a second. But the thing about community redevelopment agencies, CRA, that's a taboo for you, huh?
It's horrible. It's been managed, money mismanagement left and right. The money hasn't gone to do what it is. They put them on at the wrong time, at the top of the bubble, so then when the bubble bursts, I mean, we've got South Atlantic CRA, has not made a single dime, yet we tax them for it. We have not made a single dime to put back into the community.
There are a lot of CRA districts, like 12 to 16 or something like that.
16, and they want more.
Well, let me ask you this.
No more CRAs, because it's been
I don't know.
and I don't like it.
I only know the CRA from when we started here as NSBnews.net. the focus is on New Smyrna Beach, Edgewater, and Oak Hill. When we transitioned to Headline Surfer, or HeadlineSurfer.com, we became more countywide, and even some cities outside the county when necessary for breaking news. But the CRA in New Smyrna Beach is very interesting that people may not understand. A lot of money, the CRA is supposed to be for blight, or to make areas that are bad, there's no economic development, it's not, merchants aren't making enough to survive, to stay there. The idea is to build physical structure, bricks and mortar.
Right, infrastructure.
So that people will come back and spend. In New Smyrna Beach, a lot of money, a lot more than people realize. We haven't done an analysis yet, but I'm pretty confident that when all is said and done, the amount of money spent on street parties and things related to the bars will outweigh anything in New Smyrna Beach.
Okay.
For example, New Year's Eve. I'll be on Flagler Avenue watching the bars. They're going to have these fireworks. Now, $6,000 worth of fireworks that last 3 minutes, shoot it off a building. It's not, believe me, it's not like the Edgewater, the annual Edgewater fireworks, which are beautiful. It's just shooting a couple of fireworks. Then you have the people that are from the dinner crowd on their way out. Drunks are all over the place. People drinking beer bottles right on the street. Cops are outnumbered several thousand to 3.
I'm sure. Sure.
Well, we actually have video from last year showing that. Is that the intent of CRA, to have a big party?
No, that's not the intent of CRA. But it's money management. I don't get involved in city business.
Right.
And that is not.
But that's what I
wanted to look into it and say, hey, are you spending your CRA for this? Well, then if you're spending your CRA for that, it's a violation.
Well, let me put it this way.
Then we maybe need to think about that.
Look, where is the public accountability when you have people, for example, there was the former general manager of the Penny Saver, Doug Hodson, when they cut the funding for when the newspaper laid off the 400 people, he too was let go. He was serving on the CRA board and the Southeast Volusia Advertising Authority simultaneously.
Okay.
Then you had another guy named George Richford, appointed to the Southeast Volusia Advertising Authority. He owns the Dolphin View restaurant in New Smyrna Beach. He got $50,000 worth of CRA grants from the CRA. Then he's appointed to the Ad Authority. Then he gets to vote on projects that benefit his friends in the community. And he resigned, of course, when the director was fired, because the county officials said, look, you're part of this, no, we want you out. When you have CRAs where, for example, the CRA just voted to give Traders Pub a $20,000 grant on Flagler. Well, the owner of Traders Pub is a boyhood friend of the mayor, who's known to law enforcement at least a dozen times, including a high-profile case where the town drunk was beaten to a bloody pulp, and the owner agreed to a PTI, but then changed his mind, and the case ended up getting dropped. But is the CRA a slush fund for city officials to take care of their friends?
No, it's not supposed to.
Another case where merchants associations get $100,000, $150,000 a year to give to a certain media outlets that they like, whether it's Black Crow or
whatever it is,
or the News Journal, and say, well, hey, people listen to it on the radio, and then you see the crowds, and it's Edgewater, it's Oak Hill, it's Port Orange.
Well, let me just say this: I didn't get elected because I put advertising on Black Crow.
Well, and not to pick on Black Crow, but the whole thing of the media, the influence, and elected officials and CRAs. I think what people find is that the CRA situation in New Smyrna, a lot of money. We had, 4 CRA members with a collective experience of 60 years resign all within 6 months of each other, with one-sentence descriptions that said nothing except I decided to resign to pursue other things.
Right.
Now that we started looking into it, it's become curious why.
Okay.
I think it's going to get uglier before it gets cleaner.
That's the job of the media.
In terms of, but there's a definite correlation between the Advertising Authority, the CRA, and people in former leaders of the chamber in terms of taking care of each other. And my experience has been that you have these part-time elected officials
Okay.
who are shepherded by an overpriced city manager
Okay.
and an overpriced attorney. In New Smyrna Beach, you had a private dinner party for a retired city commissioner, and the mayor is the host.
Okay.
So it's a big hornet's nest down here. How would you avoid that happening at the county level?
Well, first off, I don't have any friends that would want to do this kind of thing.
You don't have any restaurants.
I don't own any restaurants. You know, I mean, it's
But
like,
the whole idea of government
we've got to do a
accountability.
better. There's got to be a better job of vetting, and it, you know, it's like this. If there's somebody that's got to, one thing is if you are, one thing that I'm going to look at is, are you the friend, brother, cousin, niece, nephew, uncle, whatever of anybody that is involved with the CRA? I would like to see
Well, actually,
each individual that's appointed to any board in this county. I would like to see them totally separated from all that stuff.
I think down here the issue was, and St. Anthony Bishop, the director of the Southeast Volusia Chamber of Commerce, said herself in a deliverance to Edgewater with wanting to get some funding, and I guess it's okay, you know, to have a partnership like that, but she said it herself, the chamber was in debt 60 grand
Yeah, well, then,
just a couple of years ago.
so
When you have these partnerships where the chamber's partnering with the advertising authority, or members of the chamber are suddenly appointed to an ad authority, a CRA.
see, you know, I
And
think
then you start connecting the dots, and you see this little machine of, for example, New Smyrna Beach has a CRA architect, a higher level guy that was in the chamber and was the campaign manager for the former mayor. So it's like, here, we'll take care of the former mayor. We'll give her the hub on Canal Street. We'll give her 50 grand to have her hub. She won't run against me. Now I don't have an opponent.
yeah.
And this is what happens. And then you have a thing where a mayor has gotten so strong in his idea of leadership and his PhD that he can talk to a police officer.
Yeah,
You
well,
need to remove that barricade because I'm the mayor.
well, you know what? Just because I'm the county chair doesn't mean you get to remove a barrier for me. You know, I have to stand on my own laurels. I've got to be, you know, I'm not above the law. I'm subject to all laws, rules, and regulations, and I follow them.
I know you can't speak. I know you don't want to get involved in
Cities.
talking about his issue,
Yeah.
what he did. But if you lost your cool and you use that kind of language, which I know you don't, you're very respectful, but wouldn't you think there'd be a need for a public apology of that official?
If it was a private matter, I would make a private apology. If it was a public matter, I would make a public.
But what if
apology.
if it's a police officer and it's now in the media, which we wrote a story, don't you think it's incumbent upon him to assure the public that he genuinely is sorry?
Yeah.
For example, no comment, no won't even return calls. What does that tell you?
I can't answer for him, but I would tell you that if I made a total spectacle of myself, or if I was incorrect, which I have been on once or twice, and I've made that correction publicly because the incorrection was public.
So you feel the transparency works is
It's transparency.
apropos on that end
It's
too.
all. We are no longer a private individual. I'm a public person, and my life is public.
So this is talk now about a CRA going from Ormond Beach down to Oak Hill.
Not gonna happen.
You know, the idea of, I mean,
Or fixing
US
it.
one isn't it more of
Well-
isn't it more of cities getting their zoning and building inspectors to
That-
enforce the laws?
That sounds like a
The
better
codes.
idea. That sounds like a better idea than to try to rape all the citizens for, you know, a mill here, a mill there, a mill here, a mill there.
I mean, Daytona Beach, for example, has had CRA monies for years.
And where's the money gonna go?
US one, you got prostitutes, you got streetwalkers, you got low-level drug dealers. Isn't that more of law enforcement and code enforcement in terms of cleaning up?
If we clean it up, first things first, we can do so many other things other than CRAs. Prime example, we have a rundown building, but somebody's running a business out of it. Look, if you clean up the building, you do this, you do that, we can give you a little bit of a tax incentive maybe. Maybe a little tax break on your business. Oh, that's worth it. It doesn't cost the taxpayer anything, and it'll get it cleaned up, and they might actually generate more money. As far as law enforcement, yes, our law enforcement officers need to enforce the laws. We need to break down on crime, and I know there's more criminals than cops. They're doing the best they can, you know, as far as I know. I don't really get involved in that part of the business. You know, and, you know, so these kinds of things we could do other things that we already have in place versus taxing you again. And the CRA, and I've been talked to by several city leaders, from Ormond Beach to Oak Hill, I've actually looked at them and said, really? You did not pay any attention
now,
to my
did the Ormond Beach mayor approach you about wanting
I've been talked to by Mr. Behringer, and I looked at him and said, really, you did not follow my campaign 1 second, did you? Because the answer is, I am not in support of another CRA. Well, I'll tell you what, if somebody could prove to me that putting a CRA on Canal Street and redoing whatever it's going to do is going to bring the Brandon Center right around and make the library better and everything all better down there, show me. Show me. Prove it to me in black and white with paper. If you can't do that, then don't even come to me.
The library used to be there, and they moved it, of course, and now it's for seniors, but there's been a CRA on Canal Street for 30 years.
Yes,
it sunsets in 2015.
Yes, and I am not.
And there's talk of having another CRA that would include Canal Street again, along with, see, US 1 is the excuse to keep the city commissioners and mayor's friends on Canal Street happy.
You know, we've already got a couple of projects going on Canal Street. Now, once again, this is city business. I don't get involved in city business. They've got a couple of projects going on right now. One was very well done.
The Penny Saver building.
The old Penny Saver building. Very beautiful. I don't know if you've been down there lately. Gorgeous. And here's the fallacy of our government.
Why can't the city, why can't they just do it themselves in their own city government monies?
How about this? Why don't the people that are going to put their businesses there come in and invest their money in their business so that they can get it done right the way they want it to do it, so that they will make sure that business. If I give you $100 today, you're going to want $100 tomorrow.
Let's be
and
clear
you're going to want
about
$100 more. But if you come over and say, I'm going to start my business and I'm going to put my money into it, guess who's going to fight to keep that business going? The guy who puts his money into it.
Well, let me ask you this. The mayor's boyhood friend owns a bar in Flagler, and $20,000 in CRA money so he can put a better looking facade on it. Is that really the intent of CRA?
No, it's not. It's not a
but it's allowed. But it's happening.
It's happening, and that's just the management of the money. I mean, that's what their CRA board does.
Now, people are tired, so that's why they brought someone like you in. How much of a fight do you anticipate with this CRA? More than anything else.
Oh yeah, this is going to be a down and dirty tooth and nail.
Now you said, you know, the idea of even like, we have 3 separate hospital taxing districts.
Yeah.
And Bert Fish is in trouble, and they don't like, apparently they don't like the partnership opportunities that have been available, one of them being Halifax Health, which was the whole thing with the previous partnership,
and
where they did it illegally, and the judge made them do it over again.
Which I think was kind of, government shouldn't be involved in a private industry, and we should not, you know, I mean, I'm sorry. If you're a hospital and you want to buy this other hospital, go buy the other hospital. How illegal can this be? Oh, well, we didn't let our board members know? Well, then shame on you. Let them know. Okay, can we do it now? Cool, then go buy the building. I mean, they put too much, we are a country of laws and rules and regulations, and that's what makes it
well, I mean, but the reality is if the hospital district is so bad that they need a big apartment to survive, yet they're putting monies for balloon festivals, big billboards, they're donating to,
you're talking apples and oranges. Talking apples and oranges. You're talking a CRA district, you're talking a hospital district. And a hospital, they're 2 separate districts, and they don't go together well.
No, but what I'm saying is, you have hospitals that are struggling, supposedly, yet they're tossing out all this money for community things to look good or to take care of their friends, and it's all about the indigent care money, who can get it. Because for example, in New Smyrna Beach area, Southeast Volusia, you're talking $14 to $16 million for indigent care, when in reality, the actual number of dollars going into true indigent care is like $2 to $3 million. So where's the rest of the money going?
Okay, well then that's...
And why is Bert Fish's taxing district, which the population is so much smaller than Daytona's, getting more money? This is what I'm talking about with the...
It's percentages, it's millage rates, there's a lot of math.
It's the whole thing of, we want this hospital because of the indigent care monies.
Well, that's very possibly true, but you know, it's...
Now, you have no oversight over that.
I have no oversight over that.
You would be willing to...
I'd be willing to help anybody that, you know, it's like this, I don't have any oversight, but if you have a question, or if I have a question, believe me, I don't have a problem with calling the CEO of Halifax and saying, hey, can we talk for a couple minutes? Oh, yes, sir, we'll go talk. I don't have a problem with talking with Miss Franz, or Maury Husseini, or Hyatt Brown, or Bob Davis, or any of these other very prominent civic leaders. I don't have a problem. I will go there and talk to them. And if I have a question or an issue, we will address that question and issue, and then once that's done, I'm on down the road.
Let's wrap this up. General Schwarzkopf died.
Yes.
We did a story with you, breaking news when it happened. You were in Iraq, in Desert Storm.
Yes.
How did that feel? When the passing of General, I know he was up there in age, 78, pneumonia.
Yeah, he was up in age. He was our commander over there of the military forces, not just the U.S., but all the forces. He was a great director, great leader. He would never ask you to do something he wouldn't do, and I've always emulated that in him. If you ever say we're going to go take that hill, follow me because I'm leading the way.
Is this kind of like the sort of the theme that you've developed for yourself? It seems to have worked.
Well, yeah, I would never ask anybody to do anything I would not be willing to do.
Well, for Jason Davis, it's 2013 in a matter of hours, and he'll be the new elect taken off.
I'll just be the county
The
chair.
new county chair with some initiatives and some direction and pledge of more transparency. And why and what are the threes?
Those are three questions. Do we need it? How much do we have to tax to get it? And what's the long-term cost?
Well, for Jason Davis, this is Henry Frederick, and Happy New Year's.